Hey everyone, Flo from Off to Lens here. Today we're talking about ND filters and Nisi's new VND. I will talk about why and how I use VND filters in general, and what I like and don't like about this particular one from Nisi. This is also my first giveaway, so if you want to get one of these, make sure to watch the video until the end. Before I start, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this one, and let's get into it. As I shoot a lot of content outdoors, ND filters are an essential part of my kit and have been since the beginning. If you don't know what ND means, it stands for neutral density, and a VND is a variable neutral density filter. Think of it as sunglasses for your lenses. I used to rely on fixed solid NDs, especially 0.9, for all my travel and documentary work. But over the past few years, I've worked on different projects with different cameras and lenses. Some cameras had internal NDs, some others didn't, so a VND made a lot more sense for me, especially for those shoots that change a lot in terms of lighting conditions. So I've been using the previous Nisi for a few years now, so when they reached out to me asking me if I wanted to test a new one, of course I said yes. As always, I always like to collaborate with brands whose product I trust and actually use. As you know, I also use the high-end cinema filters, which I keep for bigger documentary and commercial projects, but of course they come at a much higher price. Having a VND means that you can be more precise when it comes to the amount of light getting in. So if you want to keep your aperture or your shutter speed fixed, then a VND will help a lot. For my type of work, which is mainly documentary, outdoor shooting, licensing content, and travel, a VND is very handy, if not essential. So first of all, it's smaller and lighter than my cinema ones, which is very useful, especially when I have to travel a lot. I prefer to use a VND, for example, when I'm hiking, or when I get into a situation when the location doesn't really allow for a lot of gear. So that could be on a boat, for example, it could be on a large crowded city. Having a VND basically means that you prepare for any kind of situation. It's perfect for my cameras that don't have internal NDs, like my BMPCC 6K or my Canon EOS R, and saves me for having to carry like 3 or 4 different filters. I actually use my VND more on the EOS R that I use on the cinema cameras. The EOS R is a camera that I use as B-cam when the weather gets bad, when I need to shoot with 2 cameras, when I need to, for example, like shoot handheld and I absolutely need autofocus. I also use it with all my YouTube videos, so anytime you see behind the scenes footage of me testing out a camera or lens or anything like that, it's usually shot with the EOS R and a VND, especially if it's outside. Over the past few years, these Nisi VND filters have been my main choice when testing cinema lenses as well. So all the footage you've seen testing the Maker lenses, for example, has been shot with lenses and the VND on top of that. And these were shot on the 6K as well as the 6K Pro. And lastly, it saves me time, which is always important. Having a VND filter means you don't need to swap filter when you're on your shoot. If you've ever used cinema filters or even just like small circular ones, you know how changing a filter can be time consuming and also very stressful. So now let's talk about this particular new Nisi VND. It has variable ND from 0.3 to 1.5, which means that it reduces exposure by 1 to 5 stops. The filter is a true color one in order to avoid color shift, and it also features a high definition optical glass, nano coating, is waterproof, and also has an anti-reflective coating on top. You also have a removable lever on the side, and it also comes with a soft pouch, a case, and a lens cap. During my month so far with the filter, I've used it on the 6K Pro and the EOS R. This is also the filter that I've used on my previous video shot with the Maker 25mm, and the upcoming review will also be shot using the EOS R and the VND. So first of all, the build quality is great. You can feel it straight away when you pick it up. It has like a certain weight to it. There is no X effects. On some cheap filters or older filters like I used to have, you can find like an X pattern if you go to the extremes. This one, nothing at all. It is color accurate, which means that it doesn't affect the color of your camera or the lens, and this is the reason why I decided to use these filters rather than cheaper ones when I test cinema lenses. I also love that I included a pouch and a case. Filters are always tricky to carry and store, so I always know where it is and I know that it's protected. Having a lens cap, as you can see here, is also a very nice touch because you can quickly protect the filter or the lens if you're carrying your kit on you or if you have to put it straight away in a bag. So now let's talk about the things that I don't like as much about this filter. The main one is that this filter is not IRND. Without getting too technical, this means that when you use this filter with a camera that is prone to higher pollution, like the BMPCC 6K, if you use this filter on a 4 or 5 stop setting, you can actually see some higher pollution on the footage. Again, without getting too in-depth into it, basically your blacks will start to turn magenta or reddish. This is actually more a camera issue rather than the filter itself. And it can easily be fixed in post, but I think it's worth mentioning. Out of all the locations and times that I've used this filter, it only happened when it was in super bright conditions. I was using a prime lens, my wife was wearing black jeans and a black backpack, and we were sitting on grass, which is actually all the ingredients you need to get higher pollution. I actually still ended up using the shots in the footage video because it was easy to fix, so you can have a look at the before and after. The other times it was completely fine, even using the same lens and the same camera. And with the EOS R, for example, there was no issue whatsoever, even in super bright sunlight, and everything looked absolutely fine, even in 4 or 5 stops. So it really shows that this is more a black magic issue rather than the actual filter. So I think it's important to remember that with certain cameras, it's best to stay between 1 and 3 stops in certain situations when you know that higher pollution can be a problem. To be honest, for the price of this Nisi VND, I wasn't expecting it to be higher ND, especially considering the very useful range and the build quality. So this is a reason why I also have the Nisi cinema filters that I use on bigger projects, but each one of them is actually more expensive than the VND itself. The second thing is that once you remove the removable lever on the side, it can actually be quite tricky to rotate the front element to adjust the stops, as the front ring actually sits slightly lower than the rest of the filter, if that makes sense. And lastly, I wish that I could still use a hood on it like you can do with smaller circular NDs, but at least you've got a lens cap, so you know that your lens and the filter is always protected. Okay, as I said before, this is my first ever YouTube giveaway. This is not usually my style, but when Nisi and I were talking about this collaboration, we thought it might be cool to give one of you guys one of the filters as well. All you have to do is like this video and comment below what is your favorite place to shoot. For me, I think it has to be Iceland. So I will pick a random comment in 72 hours and announce the winner via the community post on YouTube as well as in the top comment, so good luck. VNDs are an extremely useful piece of equipment, and I think should be considered by any filmmaker building their own kit, especially when it comes to outdoor and solo work. They're versatile, light, affordable, very easy to carry and use, and if you can get high quality ones like this Nisi, then it makes a lot of sense. That's it for me for today, guys. Hopefully this was helpful to you, and again, good luck with the giveaway, and I'm looking forward to seeing your comments. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Also, feel free to check out my new ebook, Freelance Documentary Filmmaking, An Introduction, where you can find a streamlined but comprehensive overview from pre-production all the way to marketing, built on years of my own experience shooting short documentaries around the world.